And we are live on the Lakers Outsiders podcast, and we're running a little bit late, but we had to discuss what we actually wanted to talk about from like basically a 20-point blowout. And I am Harrison Fagan, and I'm your host for tonight. I'm here with Gary Kester of Lakers Nation and Justin Russo of Clips Nation, right? Yeah,
Yep.
not
Yeah.
Clipper Central. You and Craig, they both have the Clipper name blog, so I'm always afraid I'm going to mix that up. Uh, but yeah, they are here with me tonight to discuss the Rajon Rondo free agency audition that happened in LA tonight. It was really nice. Time Warner Cable, they took Rondo's audition and they broadcast it for 2.5 hours. They brought Stu and Billy Mack in to commentate. They got a bunch of players to come and play with him. And they wanted to show us, what the Lakers might be signing to a max deal this year. And Justin, I know you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, Rondo is probably one of the few guys in free agency I would actually stay away from. So it's like when I actually saw him tonight, before we went on the air, we were talking about how he made that three, and it was like, yeah, that shouldn't happen. Like Rondo shouldn't shoot threes, and yet he's still doing it. And I just feel like any team that invests in Rondo long term is basically submarining their future just for now. And that can't happen. He's not even a top 15 point guard.
And is it even that much of a gain right now? Like, he basically hasn't been very good in 2 years. He's had, a couple, sputtering, flashes or whatever in big games, against his return to the Celtics or whatever. But I just, I think a lot of, someone was pointing out to me on Twitter tonight that a lot of what makes up for his poor shooting is his defense, but that's just not really there anymore either. At least I don't think so. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, it's just, I think the people that are on board with the signing, because there are still some out there, surprisingly, they're just still enamored with the 2010, 2011 version of Rondo. Yeah, now when you just watch him play, it's just I made that Vine today of that shot where he was posting up Tarek Black for whatever reason, and he just threw up a floater and hit the top of the backboard and just missed the rim completely.
And we can acknowledge Rondo was legit, he was a really good player a couple of years ago. That Rondo I would absolutely sign to a max deal, if I could get past the whole Celtics thing, which at the time I probably couldn't have. But I mean, all things being equal, I would have signed that Rondo to a max deal. But this current version of Rondo, I don't really think that that's that great of a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he can be all right if he's on a team that constantly pushes the tempo, gets out and runs and has tons of shooters, which, Dallas, I mean, they run sometimes. Tonight it didn't seem like they ran that much, but what I noticed when he was out in transition, though, he's still a threat out there because he sees the floor well and stuff, and he can move the ball or whatever. But I just think if you pair him with Kobe, you're not going to have any perimeter shooting at all. Kobe showed this year that he just can't shoot threes anymore, especially off the catch. It just looked unnatural and just uncomfortable to him. And you pair him with Rondo, that's just going to be a disaster on offense.
And he's still a really good passer, but so was Luke Walton. And not to say that Rondo is Luke Walton, but if your only skill left is really passing, then you only have so much value, even though that is an important skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Andre Miller still has a job.
Yeah, exactly. So, we could sign one of them to a max deal this offseason.
I mean, the thing to worry about with Rondo, as Gary said, though, he's not that good on defense anymore. I think it's we're kind of stuck in the past with Rondo as far as his defense goes. We would look at him 3-4 years ago, as you said, when he was at the height of Rondoism, I guess, and he was doing all these dazzling things in the playoffs. He had that 45-point game against the Bulls or something, and he was just going off. And it's okay, that's the Rondo I would have gave money to, but not now. Not the Rondo who, as Gary says, he needs shooters, guys who when they run the pick and roll, they can't pinch down off of.
Yeah. Well, that's my biggest issue with him is he needs the roster built around him a certain way, but he's not good enough to do that. He's not.
Yeah, that's the conundrum.
Guy. Yeah.
Right. He needs certain players around him, but if you get Rondo, you can't bring those players in.
You know what it honestly reminds me of a little bit is the way that Jeremy Lin's fans talk about him, how he just needs a team built around him. And it's like you don't build a team around like your sixth best player. It's just like on a good, on a good team, like Lin would probably only be your sixth best player. But yeah, it's like at some point, like. Yeah, any player, any NBA player could succeed if they had a team perfectly built to their strengths. It's like, how much do you want to pay that? But you can't do that cap-wise. You can't give, like, random free agent X, like, max deal and still build a team around them if they aren't, like, that good to warrant it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not how the business world works anymore in the NBA.
Yeah.
But speaking of the business thing, I just wanted to say this about Dallas. Al-Farouq Aminu might be the best bargain in the NBA this year.
Yeah,
he's been pretty solid for them.
Yeah, minimum
He's
contract. Really yeah, it's pretty crazy the production they've gotten out of him for a minimum contract.
Well, yeah, the last time that we played them before this game, I mean, he like basically took over the game on defense. Like he was just swatting shots.
Yeah, he was just getting. I remember steals everywhere.
Yeah, it was just insane how he impacted the game on defense, and they were able to get runouts and stuff because of it. So I mean, he was a big reason, and it was a pretty close game for like the first 3.5 quarters, I think, and yeah, he basically took it over, which was crazy.
Like, yeah. And he's obviously not who I'm about to say he's kind of reminds me of, but like because he's not Tony Allen, but he's like obviously the slightly less impactful like small forward version of Tony Allen for what Dallas needs off the bench.
Yeah,
like you need that kind of guy, and they're getting it from him, which is crazy considering he's found his role now. Because I remember when he was on the Clippers, like the first year with the Clippers, like the first half of that year, he was hitting threes, and since then he's been horrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they finally got him to kind of just fit into a role, and some guys just need roles. Like, that's the tough part with young guys in the NBA. You got to get roles. And
yeah, they've never had that before. They've always been like, you're the superstar.
Right, and now Aminu has a role, and he's filling the role very well. I mean, just like Jordan Clarkson's doing for the Lakers. Like, his role, he's got it, he's playing well. Like, you just need those guys who basically round peg and a round hole guys. You don't need anyone to do anything they can't do.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of young players get caught up in, like, they're the future, and all this stuff, and they have to do so much. But, yeah, it's like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I mean, he was a number 2 pick. I mean, he's not going to be like a superstar or anything, but he knows what he does well, and he utilizes that to like his fullest ability, and he's become a really, really solid player.
He's a great defender. The one thing, my favorite Michael Kidd-Gilchrist thing, I don't know if he's done it this year because I haven't checked in like 2 weeks, but as of like 2 weeks ago, he had not taken a 3 since January of last year. That's
exactly what we're talking about, though.
Yeah, like he knows what he can and can't do. So why do something you know you can't do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Steve Novak. Like he knows that.
Oh God.
Like Steve Novak knows he's not going to take people off the dribble. He's not going to defend well. He's not going to be able to pass. He's able to do one thing, which is stand in place and shoot. And so.
And he gets buckets.
Yeah. And
Ryan just like opened up a fresh package of tweets or peeps, not tweets, peeps, and just started just going to town. He's so happy that Steve Novak got on the show when he wasn't even on.
Yeah, and speaking of Ryan, I was told to tell Justin that his hat makes him look like pitcher Alex Torres. So.
Oh, that's funny. Because I don't know if you know who that is, Harrison. Alex Torres, do you know who that is?
No, I do not.
He pitches for I think he pitches for the Padres. Yeah, he's on the Padres. He was the first pitcher in MLB to get like the protective hat for like
Oh yeah.
It's like the blown up hat, so like in case they get hit in the head.
Okay.
This is 7 3/8. Okay, I'm trying to make it work. It's new. It's got to fit. It's got to fit.
I wear like 8 and 8.5 of those. My head is so big.
Yeah, finding the right size is so crazy.
Yeah. And then so we also have like a little bit of kind of breaking news. This came out about an hour ago, but just in case you haven't heard, Dwight Bikes had a season-ending injury, and so right as his 10-day contract expired, he was about to get signed for the rest of the season. So we should, we got to pour one out for Dwight because that like the best Dwight in Lakers history, I think it can be said, and. That just really sucks for him. And the Lakers are basically going to go to Sacramento tomorrow with like two guards. So this should go really well. Like I'm a little sad I won't get to watch because I'll be at class. But
I saw the tweet.
Gary,
I saw the tweet where it was like Ryan Kelly might have to be the third guard.
Yeah, like honestly, like what do you guys expect to happen rotation wise with that? Like they said that they aren't calling up like. Any more defenders as of right now. So like, what do we get? Point booze? Like, what's gonna happen?
I don't know. It's just gonna be. Ryan Kelly's gonna play a lot of minutes at the three. I think somebody suggested just have him play all 48 minutes at the three. Like that's what it's gonna come down to.
You know what I just realized though? Sacramento's without three guys for that game too.
Yeah, I know they have no Gay and no Cousins.
The other one I think is oh god, well, because Collison's out, he's been out.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Because there was a third guy I saw.
Superstar Derek Williams.
Is that who it was?
No, I don't know.
Because Derek Williams is always a superstar to me.
Yeah. Hey, he thinks he should be the #1 pick over Kyrie Irving, so. I remember all those stories coming out before the draft.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, I think the Cavs are not disappointed in their choice, like at all.
Man.
Although the Derek Williams LeBron pick and rolls would certainly be something.
They would be something
good, but it would be something.
It would be something, all right.
But, speaking of around the NBA, before the show, we decided that we wanted to talk about, rather than just Laker-centric free agency stuff, like what free agent, because Justin is a Clippers writer, so we have to cater to you a little bit and get out of our Lakers wheelhouse.
You don't have to.
We want to, though. We want you to feel welcome. Because we here at Lakers Outsiders love you. So
that's like the first time anyone's ever told me that, so thank you.
Also because we may need you, like the Lakers, our players are dropping like flies. Verizon's killed Anthony. Ryan's internet apparently blew up. Matt, we were joking at the end of last podcast about what was going to happen to Matt, and it may have happened because Matt is gone, and so it's.
I think the Angels killed him.
This is like The Ring thing, so I think me or Gary are next, and yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but again, like a LeBron Derek Williams pick and roll, it's probably not going to be good.
Oh man!
And we may need you to fill in at host for tomorrow.
I might be able to do that.
So just to keep you as comfortable as possible, we were going to talk about some free agency moves around the NBA, and because me and Gary want to talk about stuff, not just the Lakers as well. We'll be honest. And so, Justin, what's one free agency move that you would want to see happen, just because you think you'd enjoy watching it or whatever?
Well, I'm going to make them a tandem. I really want to see Goran Dragic and Paul Millsap in Detroit.
Why is that?
I think that pick and roll with Stan Van Gundy and like Drummond in the pseudo Dwight Howard, but not as good defensively as Dwight Howard role. And
who's Dwight Howard?
Yeah, I know.
This is a Lakers podcast. We don't speak that name.
That one guy who was the center that one time a couple years ago.
That number 12 guy.
Yeah. But I think the Dragic-Millsap pick and roll could really work, especially because that is kind of Orlando Stan offense right there. And I think, like, if you put Dragic there and you have Caldwell Pope and you draft, because they have their pick this year, I think, and you draft a small forward or somebody that, you can spread the floor with there, that would actually be a really interesting offensive situation, and the defense wouldn't be that bad. Like, Millsap's a really good defender. Like, he's Atlanta's best player. So if you can steal him from basically the best team in the East, that's basically a feather in your cap on top of that.
Yeah.
I just think it would really work well. I think that chemistry would be easy to find.
And so you think Monroe's gone, or you would just want him to be gone?
I think Monroe, like, when they had Josh Smith, I thought Monroe was gone, and then they got rid of Josh Smith, and I was like, Monroe's gonna stay. But the more I read, the more I just think that like Monroe's just gone. I just don't think he wants to be in Detroit anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like, you got to really hate your situation to sign that qualifying offer, and I don't know if there's really any going back from that. Like, do you, Gary?
No, actually, Monroe was the guy that I was going to choose for my free agent.
Okay.
I was actually going to say Monroe to the Knicks, just because he's a skilled offensive player. You know, the Knicks run the triangle or some kind of version of it, I guess. So, I mean, he might be a good fit offensively there, but I think it would be hilarious to see him and Carmelo on the defensive side of the ball together, because they might score more and all that, but defensively they would just be a train wreck to watch.
Yeah.
If Monroe goes there, I'm secretly hoping they get Okafor, so you can trot out Melo, Monroe, Okafor, which would probably be with the worst defensive front line in basketball.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, they call the triangle sometimes the triple post offense. So we could see the first time they ever try to post 3 guys up at once. Like, Fisher may be the first. He may just throw an extra ball out there and just see what happens. You know?
No one will notice.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Knicks game. Who's watching really at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wonder. Speaking of that, I wonder what their ratings are like this year.
I mean, I know the Lakers were down like 30% or something.
So are the Clippers.
Pretty high.
They're both down from last year. So I wonder what the Knicks are. Like, I wonder if that's like a league-wide thing or if it's just like an LA thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Lakers are terrible, and the Clippers have Austin Rivers, so they're like legitimate reasons to not be watching either of them.
Oh my god! I can't believe someone had an Austin Rivers jersey the other night.
Okay, no, that's not even like.
I swear to God,
that's a Clippers employee.
I swear to God. Swear to God.
That's Austin. That's Jeremiah Rivers.
No, swear to God, it was some white kid courtside and had an Austin Rivers replica jersey.
Okay, Austin Rivers gave him that jersey.
I was just say, was it like donated to charity and he won or something? Well, he won.
It was like those championship shirts they send over to like some random country, like when some team loses.
Doc, like when he traded for Austin, immediately demanded like 90,000 Rivers jersey be made, and then was like sadly surprised to find out like 3 of them had been sold, and just it's Austin Rivers jersey giveaway night.
Oh man, I don't know why.
I saw that Kobe jerseys were 30% off apparently at Staples Center tonight. I saw somebody tweet a picture of the scoreboard advertising that, which is crazy to think about.
Is that 1 percentage point off for every game he played? I'm sorry.
No, that was good. But going back to the Knicks a little bit, we were kind of talking about that. For my first free agency scenario, that's actually where I'd like to see Rondo go. Because it's another team with cap space, and it's one of the teams I can realistically see pursuing him, just because Phil seems to be all about, like, all the mystical, like, superlative elements of the game and stuff, not as much stats or analytics, because he would never have gotten Genie if he used analytics, so you just know that right off the bat, and because analytics don't get you girls. And so he seems to be a lot about like that championship mentality and like have you won before, and he's seen Rondo and how great he can be playing against him in the finals, and so I wonder if maybe he sees him through rose-colored lenses a little bit and sees what Rondo was and what Rondo can be at times, and like throws a max contract at him. And I'm seeing that part of that's wishful thinking, just because I want somebody to throw a max at him before the Lakers do. It's also why I'm rooting for Dallas to do well in the playoffs, just because I'd like for them to win a couple rounds so that he feels like he wants to stay there.
Yeah, I just hope when July 1st rolls around, like 12:01 a.m. Eastern time, the Knicks just show up at his front door with a max contract in hand, just like sign.
I don't even think it would
before
be a
the Lakers
contract.
even get there.
I don't even think it'd be a contract. I think it'd just be a suitcase full of money. Like James Dolan would just be like throwing it at him.
Phil Jackson floats in there on a cloud of smoke with a briefcase full of cash.
Don't Rondo and Phil seem so like made for each other in terms of like the wacky like weirdness factor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody was saying they'd pay to see Rondo and Byron Scott, and like I'd pay to never like see that in my life. But I could see how, from an outsider's perspective, that would be entertaining. But good lord, if I won't quit covering the Lakers if that happens next year.
I think I've had nightmares about that. Like that's yeah.
Like somebody, like if we sign Rondo, we at least got to get rid of Byron. Like I'm gonna be so sad every game next year watching that.
Just bring back D'Antoni because like he'll at least space the floor and get
And make
shooters.
entertaining faces when Rondo does something stupid. And
Speaking of free agency, I got to ask you. I know you guys don't want to talk about him, but what do you think Jeremy Lin gets on the open market?
that I've been wondering that myself.
Because there are some people who think he could get the mid-level exception,
Oh, I think yeah. How much is that again this year?
like 5.4 or something.
I
Yeah.
think he could get it. With the cap
Yeah.
rising, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
think
I think that he could live up to it on the right team, honestly.
Yeah, because I think if he goes to a team where, I mean, his role is just to come off the bench and you know, be the point guard of the second unit, I think he can be fine. But, you know, when he's like your starting point guard and you're relying on him heavily offensively, that's just going to be a nightmare. But yeah, I think that's reasonable, like the mid-level exception. That's about the number I was going to say. So
I know a lot of his fans have been plugging this, but I could see him fitting in on the Spurs actually pretty well if they needed a backup point guard, which I don't think they do, but because I think what's his name?
Patty Mills.
No, not even Patty Mills, the other guy. I'm totally blanking on his name.
Corey
right now.
Joseph.
Yeah, Corey Joseph. I was gonna say Jefferson. But yeah, he's been really good when I've watched them. So I just I don't know how much they need one, but I think on a team like that just like needs him, even as a starter, to just come in and run some pick and rolls, I think that he could do it.
Yeah, because there's been some talk on Clips Nation about, like, would you sign Jeremy Lin in the offseason as, like, the backup? And I'm not against it. Like, I know what he can do. I'm not going to be like, oh, can you
He'd be
please...
really good with you guys, actually, I think.
Yeah, I'm also very wary of, like, signing backup guards to play next to Jamal Crawford.
That's true. Yeah, I
'Cause-
forgot about Jamal for a second, but yeah, that's true.
Because that's a big deal. Like, Jamal has the ball so much.
You basically just got to be able to shoot, I guess.
Yeah, like, and Jeremy can shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't know if he'd be like Farmar. I think it's where, like, Farmar wanted the ball in his hands more, but Crawford had it.
Yeah, and Farmar was a good pick and roll player, too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just, yeah, I don't know. Like, from a Clippers standpoint, I wouldn't mind Jeremy Lin. I think it just matters what his price tag is.
Yeah.
I mean, and that in this NBA market, I guess we just don't know because it's the NBA.
Yeah,
Even is going to give him the max.
Yeah, it's like you never know going into a market. Like you have an idea and you think, and then it's like something completely different. It was like Jody
Yeah.
Meeks going into this last year.
Yeah, like how did he get? What?
It's like
Well,
he should have sent a thank you card to Mike D'Antoni like immediately after signing that thing.
Yeah.
You know who would actually be a solid free agent pickup for you guys if you can get him for like $8 million a year, which I don't know if you can get him for that cheap, would probably be Danny Green.
Yeah, I've thought
Yeah.
about him. Of course, my North Carolina bias,
The other day.
but yeah, I like Danny Green because you know when it comes to Spurs players, I'm a little skeptical. It's like, are they a product of the system there and this and that?
Yeah.
I think he's legitimately good. He's a good 3-and-D guy, and yeah, he just makes good plays.
Exactly. Like if that's what you want him for, I think he is good. I just don't think that you can like expect him to necessarily like approximate the raw numbers he's putting up or maybe the efficiency he's putting up on the Spurs. But I think if you want him to come and shoot threes and play defense, I think he can absolutely do that.
Well, it's like what we were talking about with like Chris Middleton and some of the other guys. Like these, like you fit them into a role. Like their
Yeah.
role, like he's comfortable doing that, and if you keep him there, that's fine.
And yeah, and that would be a good thing. Like, say the Lakers get lucky in the lottery and they get Okafor or Towns, like one of those two big men, and then they sign Danny Green as like the starting 3. Like that would be, I mean, I'd be completely on board with that. Like that would be a good fit for me because like, especially if you have Okafor and Kobe on the same team, you're going to need somebody that can play perimeter defense.
Well, and I think a team like the Lakers with money that can like fit in with like little pieces around guys, like even a guy like DeMar Carroll, like those guys who fit role, like like some team that needs a 2 and a 3 that could like do their job. Danny Green and DeMar Carroll, I would sign right away.
Yeah.
Like those guys fit in perfectly in offensive schemes.
That's kind of my goal for this offseason for the Lakers is just like I just want them to sign like role players basically. I don't think that there's a guy that you need to go out there and max necessarily that you're gonna get. Like obviously Jimmy Butler or somebody like that would be great to give the max to and like have them come here.
Yeah.
But like it's not gonna, like the Bulls are gonna match that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kawhi.
Yeah, Kawhi or like that would I would be so I would be partying in the streets if we did Kawhi.
I would drink for like 2 weeks straight and just like party. Like I'd go Gronk mode pretty much.
I would join you. I would join you guys at drinking just because that'd be like the wildest thing I've ever seen.
Can you imagine Kawhi and Kobe on the same team? Just the juxtaposition of those two personalities. Like watching Kobe try to turn him into more of a loudmouth. Can't you just see that? Like Kobe tries to get Kawhi to assert himself more, and like I need him to be Black Swan. Like Kawhi works out with Kobe over the off season.
Yeah, I could just see Kobe like yelling at Kawhi because he wasn't in the right spot or something, and Kawhi's just like, whatever.
Yeah. Just like Wes Johnson, but actually good.
Yeah.
It's so funny how Kawhi has like the Spurs like makeup. Like
I swear, Greg Popovich. It's like, you know how like this is getting really nerdy, but in Star Wars, like there's that fan theory that Palpatine was alluding to that he created Anakin Skywalker with using the Force or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how big of Star Wars fans you guys are, but it's almost like Pop is Emperor Palpatine and Kawhi is Skywalker in that scenario. And Pop, just like, I don't know exactly how old Kawhi is, but, 20-some years ago, just, like, reached out with dark, like, energy and just created, like, the perfect spur.
Right as Duncan was about to get into the league.
Yeah. You can't prove me wrong. That's the thing. You cannot say that is empirically wrong. We don't know for a fact that it did not happen.
But with the role player thing, especially with next year going up, or not next year, but the year after going up in salary cap space, this would be the year to get role player guys locked into cheaper deals.
Exactly.
Because then if you get the superstar locked in for like a big deal, you're better off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's better because the difference between the superstar salaries going into the future won't be as big as like a role player who's going from $8 million to 12. Yeah. And like if you have like 4 of those guys, so like I'd rather pay the superstar more down the road and the role players less now.
It's only going to look better and cheaper.
Right.
And I could picture the Lakers doing something like that this summer because last summer I understood why they didn't really spend any long-term money or whatever because that free agent class kind of sucked. But this year, like if you do that, because I know they're really like banking on the 2016 free agent class, which is going to be pretty loaded. But like I could see them get a couple like nice pieces, like some complementary pieces, and then really splurge next year. So, but
I think that's best case scenario.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows with them though? I don't.
Yes or no? Would you take Draymond Green for the max? For the max, would you take him for the max?
I would.
I don't think I would. As much as I like
I'd have to think about it just because of Randall.
I would have to think about it just because of the system he's in.
Yeah.
Because he gets a lot of open shots.
I just think for him it's the same thing that worries me about a lot of guys like that put up like bigger numbers playing small ball is like is he going to be able to approximate that production if he's like if he's not number one playing in Golden State's system, and if he's not getting to play power forward as much and take advantage of bigger guys that can't guard him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like you have to really weigh everything when it comes to him, which is why I ultimately think he does stay in Golden State.
Yeah, I just love his game. I mean, I love what he brings to the table. I mean, he's like the ultimate role player, and
He really
which
is.
I guess, yeah, when you think of max, but I mean, it would be a 25% max, and like you said, with the cap increasing, it's not the worst thing in the world. So I don't know. It's tough, but I would
I
lean
just
towards giving it to him.
Do you think that he and Randall could play together then? Because obviously you're not giving him the max out of one of them play 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they could. I mean, I don't watch the Warriors that much. I don't know how much Draymond's played at like the three or anything, if he has at all.
I think he
But
mostly plays the wing. I mean, he's legitimately good on defense. He can
Yeah,
defend all
yeah,
five positions. So
yeah.
for
that's what I think
Spurs
too.
in their system, but I'm just not sure about him playing the wing full time.
He doesn't play the
Yeah,
three as much as he did like last year.
yeah,
And now he's the four, and he sometimes guard threes, but he kind of guards a lot of fours, and he can guard fives because he's played center for them sometimes.
yeah. That's what I love about him though, is just his versatility. I mean, it gives you options, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's probably might be the most intriguing free agency watch because like Aldridge and Gasol, I'm just gonna assume they're going back to where they are.
Yeah,
Like I don't think they're leaving where they're at. So I think Draymond's pretty much the one to watch because same thing with DeAndre Jordan. Like I think he's just gonna stay. It's
yeah.
funny. I actually saw him last night. I ran into him last night outside the arena.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was eating with some friends, and he happened to be Glenn Davis walked by too, and you literally could not miss. Like
Wait,
you
did
just
Glenn
can't.
Davis after he walked by? Was there any food left on your table,
No,
or
I actually think that's why there was the earthquake in LA tonight. Like I think that was the aftershock of him walking by. But they were nice. I just think DeAndre's such an LA guy now.
That's
yeah,
why you should.
it's
Next time you
hard
see
for
him,
me to picture.
next time you see him, just tell him to sign with the Lakers this summer.
Oh man, I caught so much grief last night from Clipper fans because one of my friends who I podcast with was telling them that I don't think he's the defensive player of the year. So I caught so much
Oh,
grief
that
from
was
them.
messed up.
Well,
To tell casual fans that?
the funny part is he doesn't think he's the defensive player of the year either. My friend, like he doesn't think he's like so.
Yeah.
He just threw me under the bus for no reason.
That's
It
not
was-
a friend. That's an abusive relationship.
It's like all the relationships I've been in.
Okay, we gotta put the brakes on here. Uh, so yeah, I think we pretty much covered free agency, right? I think Justin, you had another one you wanted to talk about, right?
Well, I mentioned, what was it, Millsap and Dragic together? Was that what it was?
Yeah, and then I think you had somebody with Utah.
Oh yeah, Chris Middleton with Utah. Like I've said it for like the last couple of months. I feel like that's such a perfect fit for Utah. Like I know Alec Burks was injured this year, so he'll be back next year and they're gonna be paying him and all this stuff. But if you can get Middleton and bring Burks off the bench with either Burke or Exum, which probably just Burke, like you can have those two off the bench together. Like that could like you can do some things.
Yeah.
Because if they really wanted to get crazy, and like say they want to spell Favors or Gobert for some time, just run Hayward at the 4, and then go Middleton at the 3, like Burks at the 2, or Exum or Burke at the 1. Like you can get kind of wonky with those lineups. Like, and plus Utah has the money; they have to overspend on guys because no one really wants to go to Utah. Like no one's ever been like, I have 2 weeks of vacation, I want to go to Utah. Like no one's ever said that. So I
So
figured,
you think that Utah should give Chris Middleton the Chris Maxelton?
Oh my.
don't. Oh my God, we can stop now.
Yeah. This has gotten.
Oh, it's for you, Anthony. Shout out to
Oh,
Verizon being
my
terrible.
God. Oh my God.
You keep
My head
mentioning
hurts
Verizon. At what point are they going to start paying us for this?
Yeah. Well, we aren't exactly giving them a good ad. It's like, I don't know if all publicity is good publicity.
Well,
Like
it looks
that,
like
that Velveeta commercial that kept playing today. Like I was literally at the point where I was changing the channel every time that commercial came on.
Which one?
The Velveeta commercial where it's like
God.
the guys with like sitting in the middle of a grocery aisle, like telling the lady to find her own.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No,
my
you know what
God.
ones are getting me now is those PSAs, like the insert thing here, pass it on.
Oh, the values one.
PSAs. Those are so terrible.
Because they use music from like the 1970s.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, I went to a time machine. Is Wilt still dunking somewhere? Like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, the foundation for a better life. I already had a good life before you came out with the commercial. Like,
I'm going to end my good life.
It reminds me of when the Super Bowl started playing all the depressing ads this year.
Yeah. Nationwide, we kill your kids.
Like, oh, you're watching the Super Bowl game? Let's depress you. Like, oh.
Yeah, this is the time for our serious ad that is going to teach you about learning and stuff while you're drinking a bunch and watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I remember
when I was watching that, like I just like looked at my drink and I was like, should I just keep?
This is not full enough.
Yeah, like, I didn't know what to do.
Man, I don't even know where those commercials came from. Like, I swear they must have just, like, pulled people, like, just sent out mass memos to these companies. Send us your most depressing commercial, we'll run it. It was probably, like, a secret competition no one knew about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, Gary, did you have any other free agency neutral things that you'd want to see, or any other free agent moves you really want to see?
Well, I was going to say one to make Anthony happy, but I think you already did with that god-awful pun. But I'll throw it up there anyways.
Yeah, I can't even defend that. I apologize.
There is no defending that.
Yeah. I'll just say KJ McDaniels. I know we said to other teams, but I'll say KJ McDaniels to the Lakers just to make Anthony happy. And not for the max either, like Anthony would probably give him. Like, Anthony would seriously just throw the bank at that guy.
Anthony would pay him under the table.
Two lower-level big-man free agents that I'm really interested to watch this year in free agency. Costa Koufos and Jason Smith. And also Alexis Ajinça. Those are, like, three guys I'm kind of watching.
Yeah, I was looking through the list of free agents and came across Ajinça, and yeah, that one was the one that caught my eye because that's really interesting.
And so is Koufos, because he's a good defender and like he does some things, and it's like
he just people forget about him because he backs up, Gasol and Randolph
and Jason Smith has that niche where like he just hits those mid-range jumpers so you can use them.
Yeah.
Like, those are three guys that I think teams that are trying to build for something can go after.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting, mid-level free agents this year that could, in a roundabout way, decide, the balance of power.
I just want Jason Smith to do really well wherever he goes so that the New York media freaks out at Phil for letting Jason Smith go.
Oh my God.
He just becomes an all-star overnight.
Not even an all-star. I just want him to do nominally well, have a couple 20-point games to start the season or something, one or two, just enough so that the New York Post and stuff overreacts. I just feel like that would be really entertaining.
If he averages 15 and 9, just send a search party for Phil.
I feel like that's how the Knicks have to get into contact with him anyway.
He's just going to be on a private island somewhere, just hanging out.
Doing peyote out in the wilderness and hunting people.
Doing random commercials with Genie in the back of a limo for Derek Jeter.
There you go.
Was that not the oddest thing, too? To see them in a commercial in the back of a limo together?
Yeah.
For Derek Jeter, of all people. It's what? How does this work? Jesus.
He's New York, born and bred, except for not at all, but he played pro there.
They adopted him.
Yeah, he's New York's favorite adopted son.
Which has never been uttered in the history of ever.
Yeah, I know, because they hate everybody over there.
They really do. Oh, Kyle LaQuinn. Put him into the big man marginal free agent conversation, too.
Yeah, sounds like... I don't think he'll be back in Orlando, so...
They have too many bigs. At some point, you got to let one of them go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be their version of the Purge. They're just gonna kill him off by letting him walk.
I was gonna say it's gonna be like that scene in The Dark Knight. Rob Hennigan is just gonna walk into the room with a pool cue and just break it in half and drop it on the floor.
Then tell him how he got these scars.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so I think we covered it. I think we hit all of our free agency points, and we talked about the Lakers, and we talked about the surprising emergence of a rare species, the Rajon Rondo stan. Uh, so, yeah, we made it through another podcast. I can't promise you guys how many more there are going to be because, like I said, Team Tank, now Lakers Outsiders, is dropping like flies. But yeah, it's been. If I'm next, if you guys don't hear from me after tomorrow, it's been a heck of a ride, guys.
Oh my god. You made it sound like you're dying.
I mean, we don't know. We like Verizon. The Verizon truck could hit me on the way to go, like rush over and fix Anthony's internet. Although, like that's never going to happen because they're not going to fix Anthony's internet.
I should talk to him. I have Verizon. I should talk to him. Like,
Put in a
I've
good
had,
word with him for Verizon.
yeah, I try not to deal with Verizon customer service or just customer service in general, just because every customer service treats you the same, like you're an idiot. And yeah, long story short, they never help you.
Customer service less helpful than our podcast, guys. Thanks for coming on. We had Gary Kester of Gary Nation, and and Justin Russo of Clips Nation, and this is Harrison Fagan. I write for Silver Screen and Roll when I'm not doing an awful job of hosting podcasts. And thank you guys for suffering through and watching with us. It's really fun, and there's only 2 games left, and we just really appreciate your guys' viewership. Thank you. Bye.